So we're now going to jump back into Stephen Bradshaw's testimony. This is the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry. And he's being asked by a defence request by Mr Ishaq's solicitors, the sub-postmaster they are accusing of theft, of going on a fishing expedition because they're asking for disclosure of material relating to issues in Horizon, which Mr Ishaq is claiming in his defence. So essentially asking for the details of the bugs as the post office and Fujitsu are aware of them, if indeed they are aware at all, which it seems like they are at this time based on the evidence that we shall see. But say that they're throwing out a red herring rather than just asking for complete disclosure. Let's jump into the inquiry.
Let's have a look at UKGI 000-15101. This is another case around a similar time, 2nd of March 2011. This is a case of Damien Owen. Was that a case that you were also the investigating officer?
No, not at all.
Were you involved? You weren't involved in that case?
Not at all.
You didn't see this defence statement if we scroll down?
Not at all.
No knowledge of that?
Not Damien Peter Owen, no.
No, okay. Let's return to Mr Ishaq's case then. Can we look at poll 000588254, please? We have the defence statement. We've just seen a defence statement in Mr Owen's case. Let's look at the defence statement in Mr Ishaq's case. This is August 2012. Can we please turn over the page? This is a document that you would have seen at the time, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you. If we scroll down, this is a document that is produced to set out the nature of the defendant's case. And if we look at paragraph 7, that's over the page, please, he states as follows: the nature of the defence in relation to this allegation is there was no appropriation of monies. The Post Office Horizon software/hardware system had in the past on numerous occasions malfunctioned, causing difficulties in reconciling sales, receipt and stock figures. The defendant had reported the same to the Post Office helpline, seeking assistance, but little or no successful assistance was afforded to him despite the said requests.
And that, in my view, should be enough to stop the case right there. I feel like I'm going through a similar process at the moment. But if you have an organisation that you are contracted or franchised to do work for, or that you work for as an employee, and they have a computer system and you're saying the computer system isn't working, and they are actually saying, no, it's working perfectly, you're just stealing, and they're going to rely on that, not only to dismiss you and chase you for all the money, but possibly criminally convict you. It's within your interest as an organisation to seek to assist that person in their claims that the system isn't working properly in every possible conceivable way. It makes no sense not to investigate it. It makes no sense whatsoever, unless the motivation here isn't to resolve whether the money exists or not, but merely to bring a case.
2, the defendant had of necessity to make certain adjustments by way of reversals on the Horizon system so as to ensure the sales, receipt and stock figures reconciled.
And this, for a technical issue, it shouldn't be down to sub-postmasters to do things on the Horizon system to make things balance in the face of errors, because that is where a lot of the difficulties have been caused by them, and they've almost kind of had that presented as proof against them, saying, well, you've changed the figures, this relates to the false accounting charges that we've seen lots of. This should be fixed by the post office or by someone at Fujitsu, and certainly with the sub-postmaster's knowledge, and it should be done under their user IDs and disclosable what they've done, as well as auditable.
If we carry on, please, over the page, we have a number of disclosure requests that were made by the defence in Mr Ishaq's case. If we scroll down a little more, we can see at 11.2, for example, they request all material to the knowledge of the prosecution in existence, whether in the hands of the prosecution or third parties, that reasonably supports or is reasonably capable of supporting the contention that the Post Office Horizon software/hardware system has proved to be unreliable and or inaccurate and or unstable and or susceptible to malfunction and or otherwise prone to the production of erroneous results. Little 4, the full results, whether provisional or final, of all internal and or external investigations and or inquiries and or reviews, whether instigated by the Post Office or any other body, into the correct functioning of the Post Office hardware/software system. And over the page, any internal memoranda and or guidance notes and or material dealing with the correct or incorrect functioning of the Post Office Horizon hardware/software system.
I mean, and again, all this seems very reasonable to be asking about. There's a company that's accusing you of something that is also holding the data that is required to prove your defence. I mean, it should just be handed over as a matter of course if justice, truth and fairness is at the front of everyone's minds.
And this is a case that you were the investigating officer.
Correct.
Yes. Can we please look at poll 00119430, please? An email from September 2012 from Martin Smith. He's a lawyer at Cartwright King. Is that correct? Do you recall? If we scroll down, we can see his sign-off.
It's come from Cartwright King.
Thank you. And this is an email sent. You're included on the distribution list. Who was Sarah Porter? Do you recall?
I'm not sure whether she's somebody that actually works in Cartwright King or it's somebody else. I don't really recall that name.
He says, "Good morning, Sarah. Please find attached copies of a letter from the defendant's solicitors and the defence case statement." That's the document that we've just been looking at. The defence are clearly aware of the current Horizon issues and are on a fishing expedition. This, in my view, is a red herring. The stamp sales, which had been reversed, thereby increasing the stock and lowering the amount of money needed to achieve a balance, were clearly not there at the time of the audit.
I mean, in that case, I see what they're driving at, but, you know, one person's red herring is another person's whataboutism. Would the stamp sales have had to be reversed, increasing the stock and lowering the amount of money needed to achieve a balance that was necessary to continue trading the next day? There was no way to put it on pause and say, I need to hold that there whilst the post office sort things out and I'm going to ring the helpline. It's all that, you know, presumably that would have never happened if Horizon hadn't caused the shortfalls in the first place. And is the line the defence are clearly aware of current Horizon issues actually an admission that everybody involved in this conversation is aware of the Horizon issues? It doesn't say the defence are claiming there is current issues with Horizon. It says the defence are clearly aware of the current Horizon issues.
So he has described it as a fishing expedition. What's your understanding of a fishing expedition?
Can I just go back to I think Sarah Porter may well be the agents given. It's either she would have worked for Cartwright King or they're agents from the Yorkshire area, to look after that case. It's only a possibility, but I think that's where it may be.
Thank you very much.
Fishing expedition is just throwing anything around to see what comes out from it.
We've seen a number of requests made in that defence statement for disclosure. Did you seek and obtain the information that was sought?
If Cartwright King, either via Sarah Porter, if it's from our prosecution agents, if Cartwright King didn't do it, if Cartwright King have asked me for anything, I will have done whatever they requested.
So it sounds like it might have been ignored. Well, aren't the defence entitled to go on the fishing expedition? Surely when you're bringing a prosecution and mounting a case and interviewing lots of people and looking at the Horizon system and checking the stock, in a routine audit, surely that could be characterised in the same way. If we want to use the same language as a fishing expedition, you are looking for something that is wrong. In this case, they're actually looking for something that's wrong relating to the claim that's being made in the defence. So again, surely it's in everybody's interests to find out the truth, if that is what the motivation is, and proceed with the said fishing expedition, which seems quite constrained, really. It's things that are directly related to the defence above which the disclosure requests are made.
You would have done whatever they requested.
Yeah.
I mean, we spoke earlier about, for example, reliance on the Post Office's own legal team to cross-disclose from other cases. Here we have Cartwright King, so an external firm, perhaps a lawyer who doesn't have sight of every case, And you have also, as you said, Sarah Porter, who's potentially yet another external firm. Who was best placed out of all of you?
Cartwright King took over from John L. Singh. Cartwright King become the post office lawyers. So as the investigation officer, whatever information they required, they would have asked. And I would have provided, if possible, the information back to them that they would have saved back towards the defence.
So in terms of your assumption that somebody would have been disclosing additional documents that weren't on your schedules, what do we assume now in relation to Cartwright King, that they are then responsible for this further material?
Cartwright King would have taken it over as the people who would deal with the defence solicitors.
What about the defence report in the Seema Misra case, for example, and other complaints that we've seen, even those 2010 magazine articles that you were sent? Did they form your disclosure in this case?
As I said, as I explained earlier, I will have disclosed everything I had pertaining to whatever case, whether it be Mr Ishaq's or whatever, to our lawyers, and I would expect them as the people dealing directly, because I wouldn't deal direct with any defence solicitors.
Who do you think was responsible for disclosure?
I would say our lawyers acting on behalf of the post office.
The problem is that doesn't seem to chime with who the Royal Mail/Post Office thought was responsible for disclosure in who they appointed the disclosure officer, because that was always seemingly somebody at the post office, not an external legal firm.
And what do you think your duties were in relation to disclosure?
To let our lawyers know everything that I've possibly got.
So your duty is to provide them with what you have in a specific case, but not in relation to your broader knowledge?
I would say so, yes.
And then you saw it as their duty to make disclosure in relation to the broader context?
That's correct, yes.